Okay, today we're going to make a Paula Scher poster. This one in particular, so that I can get you into the mindset of Paula Scher and her gift for typography. Let's get started. Let's make a document that is 7 inches wide by 12.5 inches high, only one page. And we want our margins, we want pretty healthy margins, and I'll show you why in a little bit. I actually want them to be 0.562. So if you just type that into one box, it'll fill it in for all four because it's locked right here. And then our bleed, of course, as usual, 0.125. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put that heavy box along the outside, and we need it to go to the bleed because we want it to go right off the side of the page. So here's the best way to do that. We're going to create a box and we're going to start it at the bleed line, beyond the page, that 0.125 bleed we set up. And then we're going to put a stroke on it. So I'm going to go to Properties, Stroke, and I'm going to make that quite a wide stroke. We're going to go 37. And it should be black. Okay, so now you can see how that stroke, here's where we built it, right on this red bleed line, and it went halfway to the left and halfway to the right. What we want it to do is stroke from the outside all the way in. So the way you do that is with this selected, we're just going to click right here on this stroke, and that's going to give us some options. And what we want, not to align it centered like we have it now, but to align it to the inside. And now you can see not only does it go out to the bleed like we need to, but when you hit preview, it's got a nice thick stroke that's also on the inside. So perfect, there's our stroke. And the best thing to do with this, again, since it's a background, is put it as an underneath layer. We'll call this layer background, and then let's make a new layer. And that's just going to be everything else. I'm going to lock that back. Now let's place our text. I've given you a text file. It's not very much text, but it'll help not to have to type it. And what I normally do when I import text like this is I just put it off to the side and kind of work from it. So I know that I have a box of text at the top. I'm going to set it right on that margin line that we've established. And that type is Shakespeare in the Park. And I'm going to make this text Avenir Next. All the text in this is Avenir Next. And this is going to be all caps, bold weight, and that's what's nice about Avenir Next, especially for a poster like this where we're using different weights and things to establish the hierarchy. You want to make sure you choose a typeface that has all kinds of font, weight, and width and slope within it. So we're going to make this bold, and we're going to leave it at 12 point for now. We'll just center this. We'll just leave that there for now. And we can bump it up because it's not the text box we want on that margin, it's the actual text. Now what we have to do is we have to build these two blocks of text separately. This whole layout is at an angle, but we're going to build it straight on so that we can control it a little better. Okay, so grab the word Hamlet, Command Copy to copy it out of the text box, Command V to put it here. This is also going to be Avenir Next, only this is going to be the heaviest weight, heavy. And I want this to be 71 point. And you can just leave the leading at the automatic amount. And we're going to tighten up this spacing a little bit. Let's go -20. And then I'm going to show you one more thing. This layout has a lot of rules in it, big thick lines that are under text. And it's important when you're doing a large body of copy, if whatever's underlined, you want it controlled through the style sheets if at all possible. So this is how we're going to do this. We have this text and we're going to make this our headline style sheet. Now if you notice over here, and we'll put it so we can see it, there is all of these things you can do in a paragraph style sheet. Paragraph style sheet is able to control everything within a text box, whereas a character style sheet just controls the text itself. So we can actually do the rules in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the rule below, and you can see it's rule above or below. You can use both. We just want the rule below. Let's make it 4 points so it's nice and thick. And then you can see how it's sitting right under the text, so you can offset that. I want you to offset that 0.125. And then because it's a little bit farther than we want on the text on the left side, we want it to line up with that H. And do you see how it goes a little to the left of it? So just put 0.05 .0625 on that left indent. And then the other thing you want to select is text on the width. That means that the rule will only go to where the text stops as opposed to the entire box of text. So that's our headline. Now let's work with another box of text that's going to go lower and to the right of this. And we can't put it in the same text box because it's just not aligned. So I'm going to make this text box right about here, and I'm going to put all the credit for this one. And then we'll just start styling it. And I thought I saved this as a style sheet, but maybe I didn't. Let's put it together. We want that to be medium text at the top. Okay. So let's call all of this also medium text. And it's going to be too big, but we'll alter it. So we want it to be left aligned. Now May 27th to June 29th, we want to keep that as the medium text. But this one, the by William Shakespeare, we don't want it all caps. And we want it smaller. Let's go down to 11 and make it over 12, a little bit tighter. And we're going to call that one, I'm going to hit the plus to create a new style, and we're going to call that one small text. And then directed by, let's make that small text, except for we want it to be all caps, 7/7, meaning we're setting it basically solid. And then for spacing, we want just a little bit space above. 0.0625 will do the trick. And we're going to call that one small all caps. So we have directed by, and then Oscar's name, we want that to be small text. So there we go. We have our little block of text we can put over here. Now we just need to do the same thing for this other production. So I'm going to make a text box, put all of this information, hair, the musical, and the date in here, and then we're going to apply our style sheets. So this is a headline, and then the American Rock Musical, we're going to make that our small all caps, and then the dates are always the medium text, except we want it left. Now you can see what's happening is that the text isn't compensating for that rule. It's right up next to the word hair. So that's easy. Remember, we use our space after to move things. So we'll just click on this. Perfect. 0.1875 does the job. All good. Now it's consistently underlined. And now we'll just put our last little block of text is all this credit for the play hair. So we're going to put this in here. Now I can get rid of that text box entirely. And this should go pretty easy. So we're just going to grab this top one. This is our small all caps. The names are small. Music is small all caps. Name is small. Directed by, small all caps. Name is small. And look at how nice and clean and consistent that is. And we just want to line that up. I'm going to grab a guide with the bottom text there. And we have more room. So let's add some more spacing within this because we can take up all the way. I'm going to put a guide at the top of here. We can take up this whole height. So why don't we have it so that the names get a little bit of space after them? And let's just put a little bit of space there. Maybe not that much, maybe 325. And then let's redefine it. You see how the plus is there. Redefine style. And that looks pretty good. It brought this one down also, but that's all right. So let's line this up. We'll bring it right here. Let's get a guide. Looks pretty good. So what we could do is on this headline, we could affect just a tiny bit less space so that they line up better. So I'm going to make that a 6. There we go. Now they're perfect. And that's the space after for the word hair. So let's group these two. Object, group. So they'll stay together. And then up here, we're just going to move this. Oh, and I see one more thing I forgot about. This text here, it needs to indent also. Remember, we indented the rule, and that's only because this type has a little bit of space to the left of it. Some type does that. So now we need to indent these two also. If this seems complicated, it's a lot easier than using a separate text box for everything. It's much easier to keep track of everything when it's all in one text box. So this can be just where we learned we could put space after. We can also put space to the left. So with one click, 0.0625, it lines up with the rule. And that's because that's the indent that we put on that also. So now that's looking good. This one looks good, lines up. So let's group those two also. Object group. Let's turn hair on its side. All you have to do is hover in the corner, hold the shift key, and it'll snap right to 90 degrees. And we're going to bring this over here. Let's use a guide again. Put a guide right to the left of hair, and let's make sure this all clicks right onto it. Perfect. Okay, so now we just need this big ampersand, so I'm going to put the and right now it thinks it's a headline style sheet, so I'm going to put it back to basic paragraph because we don't actually need a style sheet for this because it's only a one-time use. We won't be using it again. So let's go to Edwardian script to get a nice, full, beautiful scripty ampersand. Let's go to about 100 points. And then take that box and just nestle it in here somewhere. It looks pretty good. All of that can be put at an angle. So let's grab all of these boxes, all this text, hover your cursor right here, and just angle it. And as you angle it, do you see that the value for the angle above? So right now it's 19. Let's go about 30 degrees. That'll line it like that right into a corner. And then I want to move this all the way down here so that I'll have room to put the skull. We'll place the skull above these two, human skull, and I'm going to drag the box about like that. He's facing the wrong way, no big deal. On my properties panel, I'll just flip him. And then if I go to opacity, and I change the opacity of this to multiply, that's the quickest way to get rid of that white background. So I'm just going to tilt this a little bit. You could also put it in the back, but then it's hiding behind everything and it's kind of hard to work with. So this would probably work. And I'm going to grab all this text again because I want it to go a little further to the right. That looks pretty good. Put it on preview or W so you can make sure that everything's jamming. Might move that a little to the right. Now all we've got to do is put in the logo. So I'm going to place that little Public Works logo on the bottom right on the margin. So I'm going to drag this out. That looks about right, but I got to tuck it right onto those margin lines. Perfect. And this is at about 12.9%. Looks about right in comparison to the other type. Looks good. So now the only thing we need to do is set up some colors. So let's go to swatches and I'll give you two colors to set up. The first one is 82, 31, 28, 1. And you just say okay, there it is. And the second one, new color swatch, is 17, 96, 82, 7. If you wanted to play around with these colors, you could just put them into character styles. So right now we don't have any character styles going. Let's make a character style just for the color. Character color, and we're going to make this one the blue. You could also name it color 1 or color 2. And the second one, I'm going to name orange. And call this one orange for the ampersand. Shakespeare in the Park is blue, and then you can kind of play around with that. So if you wanted to assign that color other places, you could. She didn't have it on her original poster, but maybe all of the dates are also blue. So maybe that helps kind of add color. So you can do that. And the reason it's good to add from the character styles is once you've peppered this all over the place, and then you decide actually that orange looks too red, I want to change it. You can change it from here. Same thing with the blue. If you've parceled that blue out, you put it here, you put it in the dates. So now you can just go to blue. If you wanted to change your blue to a little bit, maybe more like cyan, it changes it everywhere you assigned blue. And I can see down here too that my logo is a little bit of a problem. So again, you can go to Properties and assign Multiply. Okay, and there we are. There's our Polish Share poster and a little bit about rules and style sheets. To hand this in, just save this. Save this as Hamlet dot and then your first initial last name, because we do actually have people with the same last name, and that will save it as an InDesign document. Because what I'm looking for is your style sheets, your margins, and your spacing.